Shalom, shalom, shalom. Not that to the hopeful elect of Israel. First off, I want to start off and give all honors and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught us his truth and who rule well. Peace and safety and salutations out there to you sincere and you hopeful elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of this earth. All right, I'm your fellow servant, Malaakia. All right, coming in with another lesson today. This lesson is going to be going to basically a reaction going from off this video from the guy George Gaiman. Okay, and he has a video. It's titled Trump just launched a Cbdc, and it says what you need to know. Okay, and as I was looking at the video and I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, you know what? This is how it really could play out. And it's deceiving a lot of people. And he goes into when he first started speaking, he broke it down to how how people think that the CBDC is going to come, but he's doing it another way to how it shows you how the Fed is doing this strategically. All right, and it's getting ready to come up upon underneath everyone that don't understand what's really going on, and it's by the way of how Trump is passing these different laws and these different agendas. Big things are happening every time you see Trump signs executive orders and different laws passes. You should always have your eye out and look. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into this video, man, because this devil, man, he's working, man. Okay, and it's ultimately it's the agenda of the elites, man, to bring this CBDC to come to pass, man, because we're leading up into the times of Revelation 13, man. All the Lord is making it to known to where all that scoffing and playing around, man, you about to find yourself caught up in it, man, because we're getting closer and closer to the point of where this is getting ready to be mandated. We're getting very close. Okay, so let me go ahead and play I'm gonna start here, and because it's a lot that he goes into, so we'll probably just break it down. All right.
The Fed literally wouldn't have to have any assets whatsoever. So this would allow them to quote unquote print money, where right now they control base money, but in this scenario they would control broad money as well. And B, it allows them to control credit in the real economy because they can lend, the central planners, can lend to individuals or entities that have political favor. They can lend based on a narrative, not based on whether or not they're going to be paid back. So the main takeaway for step number one is, regardless of what you want to call this dollar-denominated liability on the Fed's balance sheet, you can call it a bank reserve, you can call it a dollar, you can call it money. At the end of the day, it's really a central bank digital currency. Step number two. Now that we understand the plumbing and the mechanics behind a CBDC, let's go into the details of what Trump is trying to do right now. You've all heard of the big, beautiful bill that they're trying to pass right now. But what you might not have heard of is part of that bill is something called Trump accounts. Let's go right over to Yahoo Finance.
And you see, and this is what they're doing, man. All right, they're setting up the infrastructure right in front of the people, man. And the people don't even understand and see. So let me get this here in the book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power in of their hand. Okay? So when these elites wake up, man, it's always on their mind, all right, to practice, okay, evil, devise plans, make laws, pass laws, get things ready, okay, for this infrastructure, for you to be able to get to the point of where the Lord is leading everyone to is what? Revelation 13. Okay, going to that great time of testing, and we're getting there very soon. All right. So woe to them that devise the iniquity, man. and working the evil, man, because this is a evil work of what they're trying to do, man, behind the scenes, man. Okay, to try to mandate, okay, and have everyone stacked on as slaves, man. All right, controlled by the way of this currency, man. And it's getting ready to be digital. Okay? It's getting ready to be digital. Verse 2, it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. All right, so I'm going to read it in the NLT. It says, so when you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence. You cheat a man of his property, stealing his family's inheritance. All right, and this is what he wants to do. Okay, especially to the children of Israel. All right, he's planning, okay, to try to take, okay, the inheritance. All right, but he can't. Okay, so he's going to try to do it deceitfully. Okay, but it's going to get to the point where he's going to mandate it. All right, and everyone's going to have to take this chip, man, when it is presented. Okay, but, you know, the water Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, that he's not going to have the elect, all right, to take it, man. Okay, so this is the way of him coveting fields, taking it over by violence, taking over houses, taking over people. Okay, this is how they oppress, all right, men. Okay, and they're getting ready to do it, man, on an all-time level, man. So let me go back to this video. Let me go back right around here.
Part of that bill is something called Trump accounts. Let's go right over to Yahoo Finance and go over this article here. The title, Trump accounts for newborns past the House. Here's why financial experts don't like it. Okay, of course, Yahoo is going to have a negative Trump bias here. We're not interested in the bias. We're just interested in exactly what these Trump accounts are. It says pretty soon every newborn American could be the proud owner of their very own Trump account. The Republican Party's one big beautiful bill, which passed the House early Thursday, this was last week, contains a pilot program that would automatically create, notice, I said automatically create one of these accounts for a newborn child, and they would put $1,000 in this account. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, George, well, that sounds like a great idea. Why should we be concerned about this? This has nothing to do with a CBDC. They're not saying that they're going to fund the account with 1,000 Trump coins or 1,000 Fed coins, and that's a very good observation, but we're not done yet. Let's keep going through the article. Here they highlight the fact the government will create an account automatically and notify the individual parents. So if you have a kid tomorrow and you don't even have to go down to your local bank, the government will actually set up that account for your child and deposit $1,000 in the account. And then you can go ahead and deposit, I think it's up to $5,000 a year, tax-free, and let it grow. By the time they're 18, they can pull out the money, and they have to pay the capital gains tax. But what I really want to emphasize is the government setting up these accounts automatically for you. So think about this. Does the government have access?
You see, okay, they're starting at the young children. Okay, the ones that are being born now. Okay, they're going to have an account already set up. Okay, and, you know, ultimately he's getting ready to explain it. It says if you don't apply for your child to have a bank account, the Fed will. It's going to be done automatically. And this is how the feds are going to control, okay, the people, man, by the way of the money, okay? And they're doing it by incentives, talking about they're going to put, 1,000 within it, okay? $1,000 into your account, which is free money from the Fed. But eventually you're going to have to invest into the stock market as, you know, as he goes further along in the video. Okay, so it's all to balance out everything and to show us that what we're in that current system. Okay, and it's increasing. All right, we're in the middle of the transition. the transitionary period, okay, from the dollar, okay, to where they're gonna use it, okay, to where it's gonna be ready to be digital, man. We're here. We're out the door.
To your banking details? They
Oh, let me go
know
back a
that.
little bit.
So think about this. Does the government have access to your banking details? Do they know that you have a bank account at Wells Fargo or Bank of America? How exactly are they going to automatically set up this account, and where is the account going to be for your newborn child? More on that in just a moment. Another thing I want to highlight is right here where it says the money can grow tax-free until it's withdrawn. It makes sense. But it must be invested in a broad stock index. So what the government is doing is they're giving you quote unquote free money just as long as you invest it in the stock market. And this is happening, let's just say 3 to 4 million times per year, because that's roughly how many babies are born in the United States. Now let's go over some slides that I used for my presentation at Rebel Capitalist Live this past weekend. So main takeaway here with Trump accounts, it applies to every baby that's born after January 1st, 2025. The government funds it with $1,000. The Treasury, or the government, automatically sets up the account for you. So there's automatic enrollment, let's say, and it's only invested in stocks. So the first thing I'm sure.
And you see, this is the plans, all right, of the elites, man, to usher in, all right, this RFID chip, man, and they're gonna bring it by the way of bringing it into this CBDC, man. First, okay, everyone thinks that it's getting ready to be an actual coin, okay, but this is getting ready to be to where it's gonna have everyone to be linked in by the way of these entities, these different banks. And they're starting to set up the children right now, okay, with bank accounts. And it's going to be automatic enrolling. Okay, they're going to give you free money, that $1,000. Okay? So it's set up. It's getting ready, it says what? The Treasury set up and fund. Okay? All the money is getting ready to be through this Treasury, through the Fed, and it's going to go to what? The participants, man. All right, except this is not going to be done by a credit score. It's going to be done by a social score as he goes into it.
A lot of you are thinking about is, okay, well, it has to be invested in stocks. What does that mean? Okay, well, if there's 3 million babies born a year and the government funds this with $1,000, they have to buy the S&P 500, let's say. That means there's an additional $3 billion a year that's being funneled into the asset bubble that already exists. But now let's get back to how this actually sets up the infrastructure for a central bank digital currency. So we've got the Treasury. They're going to issue a bond, a Treasury note, whatever it is, or they're going to tax. That's how they're going to get the $1,000 to begin with. So that money goes into the Treasury, then it goes to the Treasury's account. Well, where is their account? That's right. It's at the Federal Reserve. It's called the TGA, the Treasury General Account. And after doing further research, I found that these automatic accounts that are being set up for the newborn babies by the government and the Treasury are actually sub-accounts of the TGA. So now let's go ahead and connect the dots. So every single newborn baby is effectively going to have an account set up for them at the Federal Reserve, where the money in that account is going to be a liability of the Fed. In other words, a central bank digital currency.
You see? And you see how it's all playing out? This is what these devils are doing, man. This is what Trump is doing, man. And right, he's passed these different executive orders, these different laws, okay? But it's to do with the elite's agenda, okay, behind the scenes. And here it is. They're setting up the infrastructure ready for the CBDC right in front of everybody's eyes. And he said, let me see if I can go a little bit more into it. Oh man, because it was. Let me see if I can go to the point. Okay, so he was going right here, and how the state bank of the USSR, Russia, which is Gauze Bank. Uh, Let me see. He's gonna go into it. Let me see. How much more is this? Because he breaks it down. Okay. All right. So let me bring this part out. All right. So right here.
Go back in time to communist Russia. Now, back in communist Russia, they had one bank. It was called Gazbank. So the system they set up was a system that's referred to as a single-tier banking system. In other words, all the local banks are just extensions of the central bank. There's only one balance sheet. There's only one ledger. So the technical definition here is a single-tier banking system is a policy framework under which all credit institutions coexist without distinction about the quality of their liabilities. Exactly what we were talking about in step number 1. Or in other words, there is no distinction between central bank money and broad money. And quick FYI, it says this setting is generally associated with communist economies. So now let's go into how the Soviet state actually used Gazbank. The Soviet state used the state bank primarily as a tool to impose centralized control upon industry in general. Starts to sound like a CBDC, doesn't it? Using bank balances and transaction histories to monitor the activity of individual concerns and their compliance. The state bank never acted as a commercial bank, aiming at profit, but purely as an instrument of government policy. Instead of independently and impartially assessing the credit worthiness of a borrower, Gazbank would provide loan funds to individuals, groups, and industries as directed by the central government. So as most of you can tell, a CBDC really isn't anything new. They had it in communist Russia. But was it called Fed coin? Was it called Soviet coin? No, of course not. Why were they able to achieve all these things that a modern day central bank digital currency would achieve? Because they only had one balance sheet. They only had one ledger. In other words,
And that's the point. One balance sheet, one ledger. Okay? And this is where all these different banks, okay, are going to have all the information on. Okay? And it's all going to be digital, man. It's all going to be digital. So I did a lesson probably about a year ago, and maybe 6 months to a year ago, going into the project Agora. Okay? And that's where I believe it was I forgot how many private sector financial firms, between probably up to 50 and up, different private sector financial firms. All right. And how they, were going to join the Bank of International Settlements. All right. And a group of the leading of the central banks, all right, to making a project called Project Agora, man. All right. And it was to tokenize payments. Okay. Cross-border payments. I don't know if you can probably go have to just scroll through the videos and try to actually find that video. But I know I tied up something with a Project Agora. Okay. And that's the next phase of what they're trying to implement. Okay. And we know that, Agora, you go into the Greek word, it goes into the marketplace. All right. And this is what these devils are doing, man. And I believe it had how many banks was it? Central banks. Hold on, let me see if I can look it up right quick. Hold on, let me see if I look it up right quick. Okay, because this is what the devils are doing, man. They're preparing the world, man, for this, to where they're getting ready to skip all these different checks and balances to where it's going to go straight from the what's that? the payer, well, from bank to bank, and then from the payer to the bank, and the bank to the bank, and it's gonna be quick. I believe I forgot how it went. Haven't done that lesson in so long. Let me see if I can get online right quick and look that up. You know. Oh, hold on, that's for the next lesson. Hold on, let me just get on. All right, let me do this very quick. Project Agora. Continue. Come on, man. I need a damn Google. Hold on. All right, so let me do this again. Project Agora. All right, there you go. There you go. There you go. This is Project Agora. It says Project Agora is a collaborative effort led by the Bank for International Settlements to explore the use of new technologies to improve cross-border payments. It involves 7 central banks. That's what it was. Those 7 central banks. The Bank of France, the Bank of Japan, Bank of Korea, Bank of Mexico, the Swiss National Bank, the Bank of England, and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. I believe that's 7. And they're all gonna partner, okay, with these different financial firms, all right, and putting it all as one some private sector, okay, and putting it all on one ledger. Okay, but it says aiming to create a multi-currency unified ledger for wholesale payments. Okay, it says the project focuses on tokenization and smart contracts to potentially disrupt the current correspondent banking model and make cross-border payments faster, cheaper, and more secure. Okay, this is a part of them when they issue in the Cbdc. Okay. Let me see. So it says the public-private collaboration. The project brings together central banks and private sector players to explore new solutions. And this is what they have done. They've got to the conclusion to where they've made this bill. It says the goal is to create a single centralized ledger for cross-border payments, integrating tokenized commercial and central bank money. And this is what he was just going into, man. Okay, they're getting ready to have control over all the money. It says the project tokenization says the project investigates the use of tokenization technology to represent financial assets digitally, enabling faster and more efficient transfers. And that's what's happening. So what? The old model isn't really going to work. So what it says, potential for global payments infrastructure. It says the project could lay the foundation for a new infrastructure that connects instant payments globally. So see, they've been at work, man. They've been at work. I remember I did this lesson like maybe 6 months to a year ago. And yeah, man, they went into it, man. And it's the same thing as how he is explaining it. And you can see everything is starting to link up, man. Everything is starting to link up, man. So showing you that what, man? They're going to use these different financial firms. They're going to have everything on one ledger, okay? And the people are going to be tied to those different bank accounts. And they're going to control the people by the way of that, man. They're getting ready to issue in this tokenization. Okay, it's all going to be centralized. Okay, and those firms also too, because they were partners with I'm trying to remember it. Damn, I can't think of it. It escaped me, man. It escaped me. But I know it will be. It was a lot of financial market infrastructure companies and service providers. People with with expertise and the different projects and different business models and how they could incorporate it all into one. Okay. And it's being made happening right now. And I believe this was happening. That Project Agora was getting pushed back in September of last year, 2024. Okay, so you see that how they're having and wanting to have cross-border payments to come faster and faster. And here it is. You got this Edomite here explaining it. Okay, how Trump basically has just gotten to the point of where he's about to issue in, all right, the CBDC underneath these different executive orders and bills, man, that he's pushing. So let's go a little bit more.
All of the accounts for individuals and entities in the economy was on Gauze Bank's balance sheet. This is what gave them the power, the control to implement what is basically a social score, to control people, to monitor them, to intrude on their privacy, and to extend loans based on narrative, not based on credit worthiness. And like I said earlier, regardless of Trump's intention, and let me be very clear, I do not.
Yeah, and that's when the Jake start going off trying to say that Trump don't know what's going on and all this bullshit. Yeah, man, he don't know what the hell going on, man. Because as you go into later in the video, he starts talking about solutions and how to get up out of it. But you can't if all the banks are all underneath the Fed. You can't have that he's talking about going another way, going decentralized. He's talking about the like the Bitcoin. He's talking about all these different digital currencies. You know, I believe through the spirit that they're getting ready to take all of those coins and take the most important ones, and they're going to incorporate it. Okay, they're getting ready to incorporate it, all right, through these different private sectors, and they're going to be able to use this digital currency already. All right, because it's already on the point to where you make a transfer and it can come automatically. Only thing they have to do is integrate that and put it all on one ledger sheet, and that's it. All right, they're talking about tokenized digital payments, man, and that's what we seeing. What's happening right now? You can transfer Bitcoin to any place in the world, as long as you just have the actual person's address. Why not just link that towards the bank? All right, we don't know how this is all forming, but we know that the scripture says in Revelation 13, man. Okay, we see the devil that's at work, man. We seeing how he's preparing the world. When you go into that word causeth in Revelation 13, when it says that he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, all right, to receive the mark. Okay, that word causeth, when you go into the Greek, it goes into the poieo. And it goes into also a point. It said in there, it says to make ready, to prepare. And this is what this devil is doing, man. He's making ready and he's preparing the people, man. Okay, by the way of these different laws and things that's being placed, man. That's happening right now, right before everyone's eyes, and they're not even seeing it. All right, so for all you scoffers, man, know that this prophecy will come to pass, man. It will come to pass. All right, so I just wanted to bring this lesson out. So, hey, Lord willing, you was edified right through the Spirit. I want to give all honors and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who has taught us this truth and who rule well. Peace and safety and salutations out there to you sincere and you hopeful elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of this earth. All right, I'm your fellow servant, Malaakia. Shalom.